presidency tested, when civilian authority meets military defiance. South Africa's constitutional democracy is built on a hard-won principle forged in the aftermath of apartheid. The military is subordinate to civilian authority. This foundational rule, enshrined in the Constitution, is designed to prevent the politicization of the armed forces and to ensure that no security institution ever again operates beyond democratic oversight. Before we go further, kindly subscribe for more interesting news updates. In January 2026, that principle has come under unprecedented strain. President Cyril Ramaphosa now finds himself at the center of what many legal scholars, military analysts, and opposition parties are calling a constitutional crisis, following allegations that the South African National Defence Force, Sandf, ignored or failed to implement a direct presidential instruction to withdraw Iranian warships from naval exercises held in False Bay. While the full facts remain subject to investigation, the implications of the episode are already profound, touching on civilian control of the military, foreign policy coherence, and the resilience of South Africa's democratic institutions. The trigger: Iranian warships in False Bay. The controversy stems from multinational naval exercises conducted off the coast of Cape Town in January 2026. These exercises, initially framed as routine maritime cooperation, became politically sensitive due to the presence of Iranian naval vessels. Iran's international isolation, ongoing human rights concerns, and tense relations with Western powers meant that its visible participation in South African waters carried diplomatic and symbolic weight. According to multiple political sources, President Ramaphosa issued a clear directive that Iranian warships were to be withdrawn from, or at minimum excluded from active participation in, the exercises. As Commander-in-Chief of the Sandf, the President's authority in this matter is constitutionally unambiguous. Operational control flows from the President, through the Minister of Defense, to the military command. Yet despite this instruction, Iranian vessels reportedly remained linked to the exercises. The Sandf compounded the controversy by posting social media updates referencing Iran's participation, only to later delete those posts without explanation. This sequence of actions: participation, public acknowledgement, and sudden erasure, has raised troubling questions about compliance, transparency, and command discipline within the Defense Force. The response: inquiry instead of immediate action. In response to mounting pressure, Defence Minister Angie Motshekga announced the establishment of a board of inquiry to investigate whether senior Sandf officials, including Navy Chief Vice Admiral Mond Lobes, defied or misinterpreted the President's instructions. While inquiries are a standard accountability mechanism within the military, critics argue that the decision to launch an internal investigation, rather than taking immediate administrative or disciplinary action, reflects the gravity and sensitivity of the situation. Boards of inquiry are often slow, opaque, and focused on procedure rather than political responsibility. For opposition parties, this is inadequate given what they describe as a direct challenge to constitutional authority. Why this is more than a military dispute. At its core, this controversy is not simply about naval exercises or foreign vessels in South African waters. It is about whether the military obeys civilian leadership without hesitation or reinterpretation. South Africa's history makes this issue especially sensitive. The apartheid-era security apparatus operated with near total autonomy, often acting in defiance of political and moral accountability. The post-1994 constitutional order deliberately reversed that dynamic, ensuring that the armed forces could never again become a power center unto themselves. If senior military leaders can ignore, delay, or dilute a presidential order, particularly one involving foreign consequences, extend far beyond one incident, it risks creating a precedent where operational commanders believe they can second-guess or selectively implement political decisions, undermining democratic governance. Political fallout and calls for dismissals. Opposition parties have been quick to frame the episode as a breakdown in civilian control over the military. Several have called for the suspension or dismissal of senior Sandf leadership, arguing that accountability cannot wait for an internal process that may take months. Military analysts echo these concerns, warning that even the perception of defiance is damaging. Armed forces rely not only on discipline, but on public trust. When citizens begin to question whether the military answers to elected leaders or to its own internal hierarchy, confidence in democratic institutions erodes. There is also concern that inconsistent messaging from the Sandf, particularly the deleted social media posts, suggests either internal disagreement or an attempt to obscure facts after the controversy became public. Neither explanation reflects well on an institution expected to operate with precision and integrity. Foreign policy and strategic confusion. The episode also exposes deeper tensions in South Africa's foreign policy. Balancing non-alignment, participation in multipolar groupings, and relations with Western democracies requires coherence and clear political direction. When military actions appear to contradict presidential decisions, it signals confusion not only domestically, but to international partners watching closely. Foreign navies do not operate in isolation. Their presence sends political messages. Allowing Iranian warships to remain involved after a presidential withdrawal order suggests a disconnect between diplomatic intent and military execution, weakening South Africa's credibility abroad. A defining moment for democratic oversight. Ultimately, this crisis presents President Ramaphosa with a defining test of leadership. The Constitution gives him authority over the armed forces, but authority unexercised or perceived as unenforceable loses its meaning. How decisively and transparently this matter is resolved will shape not only the future of the Sandf's leadership, but also the strength of civilian supremacy in South Africa. Whether through firm disciplinary action, structural reform, or parliamentary intervention, the outcome must reaffirm a simple but vital truth. In a democracy, the military does not set policy, it follows it. Anything less risks turning a moment of controversy into a lasting constitutional wound. What's your thoughts about this? Kindly subscribe for more updates.